Okay, last week I did an unboxing of this, the WYZE Smart Scale. And during the unboxing, I had some really good impressions of the thing. I mean, it's $29, it's a smart scale, it's actually really pretty, it has a nice blue finish, which I really like, and it can track body fat and even your heart rate. What wouldn't I like about that? Well, over the past week, I have done some more research on how it works, and I also looked into alternatives, and basically after a week I've used it and I've sort of come into my final conclusion on whether or not it's a good device. Now, is it a good device or is it a bad device? Let's find out. Alright guys, welcome back to Gadget Conquest. Now, this video is going to be kind of short because I'm just really going to go over my impressions over the week with this device and just some of the research that I've done about it. So, the very first thing that I want to talk about is how it tracks your body fat percentage. I believe it uses something called electrical impedance, or rather, I know it uses something, I just can't remember what it's called, and I think it's called electrical impedance. But basically what it does is it sends a signal up one foot, and that signal goes through your body and comes down your other foot, and depending on how weak the signal is and the weight that you put in, it can decide how much of your body is body fat because it is making the signal weaker than it should be. Pretty simple explanation on electrical impedance. Google it if you want more information because I could very well be wrong. Anyway, that's how it works. A lot of these, there's actually a lot of alternative smart scales on the market, which, you know, that would be my next point, is the market and the alternatives and the competition. So I have seen smart scales from companies like Nokia, as well as Fitbit, and slightly smaller companies like Anchor, and this one is by WYZE. There are even ones from complete knockoff companies whose names I can't even remember because most of them I couldn't even pronounce. They all had different styles. This one, as you can see, is sort of a dark blue with the metal square that says WYZE and has a tiny screen right here. I have seen some that were completely white. I have seen some that were in a weird pattern, all different kinds of patterns on them and different colors. So if this color isn't to your taste, I mean, you can always just try to find a different color and a different pattern. That would work just fine. The only problem that I have with the other ones on the market is that every single one of them sort of binds to their own app. They all have their own app ecosystem that they use to track the stats, and whether or not they share those stats with other apps is also in play. Some of them will be able to get some of your stats from Google Fit, for example, while some of them won't be able to. Some of the apps might be well made, some of them probably won't be well made. I'll be honest, I don't really trust any of the ones that are made by companies that whose name I can't pronounce. And luckily, WYZE is a name that I can pronounce, unless I've been pronouncing it wrong. Maybe it's WYZE. I don't know. Nobody's ever corrected me. But I've used the WYZE app before because I used it with the activity tracker that I used in my previous video, and it was actually pretty good. I never had any issues with that app. Very unlike the GoSund, what was it again? The smart power outlet? Yeah, so the GoSund smart surge protector that I'm currently using to control my lights, the app for that thing, if you guys remember during the video, glitched out. Just glitched out during the video, and I actually had to close it and open it back up again. So that wasn't very cool. Luckily, that one I can just use directly with Amazon's You-Know-Who app, and that worked just fine. The WYZE app, on the other hand, worked perfectly fine with no issue, and I'm still using it. Now, the one problem that I had with the smart scales in general that all connect to an app, especially over Bluetooth, was how do you handle multiple people? How do you handle tracking multiple people? If you're connected to the app over Bluetooth and you're sending it over that, then doesn't that mean that if somebody else steps on my scale, that their data is automatically going to get sent into my app and just ruin my tracking? But luckily, the way that it actually works is when the app is open and you step on the scale, that is when it sends the data, and then the app will actually run in the background, but you can force close it from the background. And while it's force closed, the scale will still measure the weight and body fat percentage, but it will not send that data to your phone. And what you can actually do is if you have multiple people that would like to track their weight, then what you can do is each person would have the app, and whoever has the app open will get the data. And that's just how you would switch between those two people. Price-wise for alternatives and competition, at the $29 price point that this specific scale hits, it is on the sort of mid-range of all of the competition. I've seen the scales go anywhere from $21, $22 all the way to about $40. And then there's ones that hit much higher price points like $60 and $80, like the ones by Nokia, for example. But the ones that are reasonable are all around the $30 price point. If we're being completely honest here, the Anchor one at $35 isn't that bad either, and it actually looks pretty good. I believe it's called the Eufy. I'll have the link for that one in the description as well, because I've used Anchor products in the past. In fact, I still use Anchor products to this day, and they've all worked pretty well for me. So, as for the WYZE one though, if you like this look, and you want a smart scale, this is the one I recommend, because this is the one whose app ecosystem I am familiar with, and that makes me comfortable with recommending it to you. The Anchor one I am also comfortable recommending simply because I trust the Anchor brand, which maybe I shouldn't do, who knows, but I have seen them give quality products in the past, and I trust that their new products would be quality as well. As for all of the other brands outside of Fitbit and Nokia, all of those third-party ones, they probably look great to you. I don't know, for me, some of them were kind of dumb looking, but some of them did look pretty good. I don't trust their apps, I'll be honest. I don't trust their apps. It's not a spyware thing or anything like that. Honestly, I just think their apps are probably going to be a glitchy mess, especially with my experience with the GoSund over here. The apps generally tend to be a glitchy mess and don't get updates as often as they should as well. Whereas WYZE's app is a single ecosystem where all of their electronics and smart devices merge into it, and you could control all of them from there. So I sort of have more hope on the WYZE end and on the Anchor end as well. So those are the ones that I would actually recommend. This one's $29. The Anchor one is about $34, $35. I think Anchor actually has two that are like a couple dollars apart. So maybe they're different generations. I don't know. Link will be in the description. I'm not gonna figure it out right now. Other than that, this thing's been great. It's been great over the past week. I haven't had any issues with it. It takes about 5 to 7 seconds, I think, to really dial in your weight and your body fat percentage. If you only do weight, it's only about 2 to 3 seconds, but the body fat percentage does seem to take longer than the weight counting, which makes sense. But even the weight, so a lot of cheaper digital scales, the way that they work is they sort of dial in very quickly and they don't take that time to do those fine adjustments, whereas this one will continuously do fine adjustments for quite a while. So it can take anywhere from like 3 to 5 seconds just to get your weight. If you are if you're shifting your weight on your feet quite a bit, then you can just sort of watch the number go up and down while it tries to really dial in where you would fit, which makes sense because the more accurate your weight is on the scale, the more accurate your body fat percentage is going to be. And the more accurate your body fat percentage is going to be, then the more accurate all of the other stats are going to be on the app as well. And obviously you would want that to be accurate, especially if you're using it to track your fitness, which is really what this comes down to, is you're tracking your fitness. You're trying to give yourself a reason to be better, I guess. And honestly, I think it does a good job of that. So it got my recommendation in the last video, and honestly, after a week, it still gets my recommendation. I am perfectly happy with this product. It's gonna stay in my home. I'm gonna keep using it probably every day. And if you really want something like this, then I can't recommend this one enough. So double thumbs up. They did a good job. And that's it for this video. Stay tuned for my next video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that stupid looking bell, because in my next video, I am actually going to do another WYZE product and hook that into the WYZE ecosystem, and we'll see how that works. So I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.